Thank you so much, Hans, and thank you so much, Sujit, for joining here today for TechSparks. We are very honored to have you. It's said done to death because we are all living this pandemic, the effects, and this is for real, and this has gripped all of us. We are all in different paths, but we're all living the aftermath or whatever of this pandemic. Hans, I want to ask you. You are the voice, and you are a very strong and insightful voice for entrepreneurs across the world. I want to ask you, what are some of the impacts that you're seeing that COVID has, and what does it mean for some of the sectors that you are investing in? If you could share with us.
Sure. Thank you for your kind words, and it's good to be here, and it's good to see Sujeet as well. I don't think a lot of people expected how worldwide the global impact COVID-19 has made. I think in the beginning, back in February, our colleagues in China started coming, and office was shut down, and everybody went start into a sort of preservation mode. We in a span of 2 weeks, we hosted 15 events online, and over 1,000 people participating in each event to chat about what they're seeing, how to deal with things. And we also had a founders only event from our portfolio to share their lessons, best practices. And we invited the former COO of Alibaba.com, who is from a GGV portfolio, to chat about what they went through with SARS in 2003. And a month later, same thing happened in the US, and went through the same kind of situation. We invited Savio to come back again and share lessons, this time in English, with our founders in the US, Latin, Southeast Asia, and India. And what we've seen since then is that definitely a lot of people are adversely impacted, and the founders now are very quick at cutting down their costs and streamlining their operation, figuring out how to add efficiency to it, or even try to innovate during this process, have done well. And we saw this with our travel portfolio company, like with Airbnb. They have mostly come back since the lows during the pandemic. So we do see that companies with improvements to their business model, improves their operation, have done well, relatively speaking. But our condolences and worries and concerns for those who have not been able to benefit or rebound from this, because this is not easy for anyone. The sectors that have benefited includes online education for obvious reasons, includes online communication. Look at the companies like Zoom and Slack. You look at digital health. You see in the US, you see Livongo, you see Teladoc benefiting from this. And you see even enterprise companies, SaaS, that's enabling work from home, work remotely. You see this. You also see a lot of young people moving from big cities, in the case of San Francisco, New York, New Jersey, to Austin, to Miami, to Nashville, to Atlanta, and so forth. So you do see that there's a movement, and you open up the website, the app for Zillow for PropTech, and you see tons of houses in the big cities up for sale, and people moving into the smaller cities. And net is beneficial for redistribution of tech, redistribution of sort of knowledge workers, but at the same time, it's caused quite a bit of disruption. But online real estate companies like Zillow and our own portfolio company, Open Door, have benefited a lot from this. And the last one is obviously wellness space. We've been investing in Peloton since $1 billion valuation in 2017, and they obviously benefit tremendously from this. And but our hearts go out to all the founders who work hard during the process. It's never easy. And in India, we see amazing founders, including the one you're interviewing, and then others like Vedantu and Rupeek and Kalabook, all sort of benefiting from this and working hard to solve this, because it's never easy to work through these issues. And our best wishes and gratitude to the founders and teams for being able to stay alive and get through this period and even thrive after this.
How are you seeing the impact of COVID, and what are some of the signals that you're getting from the market? Because I hear from the government that and from a lot of people in the ecosystem that the digital India has become finally digital. But I want to ask you, because you're running, you are the unicorn here in India. You're one of the successful startups we all look up to. You have a great pedigree, what you guys did in Flipkart. What are you seeing right now, which you would like to share with the entrepreneurs?
Thanks, Shraddha. Thanks for inviting to the Tech Park. And I think this is the 11th or 12th year of the Tech Park, Shraddha.
11th
11th
year.
year, 11th year. So congratulations to you. I think I have seen that journey from the start, and now I think it has become a movement rather than a kind of yearly occasion. So I think every year it is a big gathering, more and more professional, become more global also. So congratulations to you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you, Hans, and you are our investor also. So
That's
I
right.
think, yeah. So
Proudly.
he's amazing, and I think proudly I say that in India we were the first company he has invested in us, and after that he
That's
has
right.
invested in lots of company. So I think it was a great start. So thank you, Han. So yeah, to your question or query, I think first of all, I think pandemic has definitely thrown lots of challenges, especially a business like us, which was like highly operations and lots of supply chain demand. There are suppliers, marketplace, as well as buyers where we are moving physically, and there are lots of people also are associated with the company directly. Thousands and thousands of people are working. Suddenly, everything has been locked down. Am I right? But on the hindsight, I have seen there are lots of innovation has happened. So first, what it was, it in a normal time we thought of it was kind of impossible to do that, and I'll give you an example. Now in pandemic time, it has become normal, and I'll not only the Uran, rather than I will give an example of one of the largest event I've been a part of that when I was in Flipkart, and so I'll come there. So I'll give one example. When we were in the normal time, when we were finalizing warehouse, so the team had to go there. They have to see, they have to test, they have to recce the site and then finalize. I'm just giving one example. In the pandemic time, the traveling aspect was, it was kind of banned. You cannot travel. But you know that we have expanded like the pace was one of the fastest. Not even the normal time we have expanded in a pandemic time, and we were able to finalize more number of real estate, without compromising the quality of the premises than in normal time. So the lots of innovation has happened. What it was not like never we thought of, it's a possible without going to finalize a premises. Now it was possible. I'm just giving a simple example. If you see a simple even the Flipkart BBD, and you have seen that how the preparation, like in like several months people who are staying in office, there are lots of facility has to work for 24 cross 7. People were staying back, like lots of lunch, dinner, all kind of, like you have to mattresses and all you have to arrange, and people were like kind of, that was the trend. But without going to the office, this time they have done the largest BBD and the
Yeah.
like Diwali festival. So all those things has been become a possible. Now people see that how to innovate, how to be more focused, and even the utilization of time is very efficient. Like people are very focused discussions, decision making. Uh, um, if you'll see buyers, sellers, they have adopted like you said, the digital moment has arrived. Like
Yeah.
smallest of the mom and pop shops, they were like suddenly they for them that's the window to the supplier, and that's where they were exploring how I will get my supplies to my shops. I'm just talking, and I think so that in our business we have to go and also do FOS activity. But because of the pandemic in the initial time, uh, people were like actively searching how to get a supply.
Yeah.
So not only the company, I think all the ecosystem has gone through those innovations. So government has innovated. In early time, government was not very sure how to open the borders, how to open the cities, what are essential, what are non-essentials. Once if you'll see, once the whole system has come together, now it seems like a
Yeah.
normal rather than
Yes.
pandemic. If you'll see,
Yeah.
earlier the number of 100 cases per day, and it was like kind of panic in the
Yeah.
country. Now there are let's say 50,000 are infected out of a million tests, and there are like 70-80,000 are recovering. So there has been
Yeah.
balance has been created. The number of the casualty percentage are going all time low. If you'll see, like and that's a like fabulous number. In India, 100 million tests has been done, and
Yeah.
out of that there is a casualty also, but one like 100,000, which is 0.1%.
Yeah.
So I think lots of that people see that now it has become normal, and they are taking the precaution. Like I go to office, there are 30-35% people comes to office now. So I think, yeah.
Hans, I'm going to ask you this, and this is for the benefit of all the thousands of entrepreneurs and people who are going to watch this. You have invested in some of the iconic companies very early on, and I would say that you, if you know, if one can say, there's no rating to it, but you are one of the one of the investors that we all look up to, and everyone in different geographies in the startup ecosystem look up to you. If you had to say on two, three things, like one is growth versus profitability, because that has come to a sudden question now for all the companies. And I wouldn't even say growth versus profitability, it is sustainability, growth versus profitability. What are you seeing? What do you have to say? And the second thing is, on the business building fundamentals, because you have a bird's eye view, not even bird's eye view, a very close view and a bird's eye view on some of the most phenomenal businesses across the world. What are they doing that we all can imbibe and learn from? If you could please share with us.
I think your very kind words. From where we sit, the companies that are doing better during the pandemic or trying to do better are the ones that, first of all, work towards the positive unit economics. Growth is important for sure. Will always be in tech, but during this time, having that positive unit economics is extremely important for additional investors to have confidence to put money into your startup. And then secondly, um, how do you balance growth and profitability? In general, if you can still grow at about 20% year on year, and still be able to have positive unit economics, and you don't have to be profitable, but at least break even or very close to it. Investors are going to give you credit for that. It's very different from 2 years ago when you're just growing at all cost. And investors, this sentiment shift given where the macro is. So we have encouraged our company, if needed, grow more slowly, but make sure you can improve your operation to have positive unit economics and be close to break even if you can. The best ones that we have seen are growing at about 40% year on year, and break even or profitable. And that's something that we did not expect. But in the sectors I mentioned before, whether it's e-commerce, whether it's in wellness, fitness, whether it's in digital health, whether it's in online education, and online food related sectors, and enterprise, we are seeing some of those things happen. So, but I think instead of worrying about who is doing the best, it is much more important for more founders to think about positive economics, slower growth, and break even, and focus on surviving first. This is like extremely important thing we have to deal with.
MSME is the backbone of our economy. It is the backbone of Chinese economy, US economy, and German economy. At least the ones I have tracked. just want to understand, you are right in that space, you are enabling MSMEs to grow. What are some of the changes that you're seeing? What are you seeing on ground when it comes to MSMEs? Because the government has come up with a lot of SOPs for them, but what is it translating into, and has anything changed because of the pandemic?
So if you'll see, there are lots of things have changed. Let's say
Hmm.
fundamentally, lots of things have changed.
Hmm.
First of all, I think MSME has, when pandemic had started, they were clueless how to deal with
Yeah.
the scenario. So definitely government, as a, like you have seen, like they have done several announcements in India, and they have like given the confidence of capital. But I think they were dealing lots of, not only pandemic, but let's say workers. They were not there. They have
Yeah.
gone, and then coming back on work was very uncertain for them how to open.
Yes.
So the rhythm was broken, right? So in that they have definitely, so there are two aspects of it, MSME. So I
Hmm.
see there are retailers who who were like supplying goods to the consumers because there was demand, and especially essential goods, am I right? Food and all,
Yeah.
which nothing to, because people had to eat, and they were the essential, like 19 more than 90% of the India, they supply the food. So they adopted more, like they were reaching out to the consumer in a, they adopted more and more technology. So why I'm saying that, because in the pandemic time, let's say wholesale market, with the traditional wholesale market was not open, so
Yeah.
they don't know how to get the supply. So they have adopted online, let's say Udan and all, they were exploring how to buy regularly. So if you'll see, all those adoption has accelerated, not only accelerated, that has become the mainstream. So the manufacturer part of it, and they have suffered the most in this pandemic, because
Yeah.
first, all the supplies, demand was uncertain, and some of the sector, if you'll see, like clothing, fashion, still I think they were going through the tough phase,
Yeah.
because you know that there kind of no demand also. But some of the category like electronics and all, you know that because people are staying home, there's more and more demand. Food has grown, so I think they are dealing with the worker shortage, demand uncertainty on demand front. Whole supply chain has broken. Traditional supply chain has broken. So I think they have it also explored how to sell more and more online.
Hmm.
They have adopted to, and on various platforms they have become supplier.
Hmm.
Not only I'm saying the Rura, and there are lots of other e-commerce platform where they become supplier, and you have seen that in whole pandemic time, and all across the world, and especially in India, I can comment the kind of movement has happened in, let's say, B2B space, especially
Yeah.
investment, confidence, people, announcement, raising fund, more and more company, it has been opened. So all our validation of itself is a huge opportunity, and there are
Yeah.
lots of depth in the opportunity. Am I right? There are lots of depth in the
Hmm.
categories. So people are investing. Entrepreneurs are entering in a various way of light, heavy, or lots of technological innovations. They are becoming mainstream, kind of assisting people to grow their business. So I think itself is a huge validation. And if you track the number of startups in whole B2B space, I think that's the, I think, highest number of company has been started in this pandemic. Especially I
Hmm.
can talk about India.
What are some of the things that you have seen play out in different geographies, which helps the country accelerate their, accelerate and help the MSMEs?
Yeah. Um, SMEs is, like you said, is the backbone of many
Yes.
economies, and is the reason why we invest in Udon as our first investment in India, like Suchi mentioned.
Yes.
You look at China, our experience with Alibaba, Alibaba.com to Taobao to Tmall. all are driven by working with SMEs. And in the US, my colleague Jeff Richards launched our SMB index and a portfolio around SMB tech in the US. And I invest in SMB tech companies in the US and Southeast Asia, India, and Latin. And we do see that a lot of mom and pops are leveraging tech to better themselves. In China, you see starting in February, many of the offline stores that are shut down are using ByteDance product for China, Douyin, which is the Chinese version of TikTok, and leveraging that to sell their goods. And you see them using Kwai app and to make very funny videos about what they're trying to sell and what are the interesting things people should be looking at. And e-commerce on these social media, social networking app increased by $30 billion US this year, just on those two apps and related apps alone. And in the US, we see that a lot more online activities, not just on B2C commerce, but C2C as well in our portfolio, OfferUp and StockX. And we see that in the case of B2B too, companies growing in that way, in the same way that Udon is now. And in Latin America, we see companies like Lucky that use automation to help final mile delivery to be more efficient. And so we do see a lot more automation happening, a lot more online media usage happening, and leveraging tech to improve and source things more efficiently. And another thing we noticed is that before the pandemic, a lot of growth were happening based on operations, having a lot of feet on the ground to make it happen. Whether it's in the case of Alibaba in China, or similar situation in other emerging markets. But during the pandemic, you see a lot more growth happening to the product side. The product innovate, the product do more group buying, the product do more one-to-many broadcasting. The product allows more interaction and a sort of SaaS plus marketplace model emerging, using SaaS to manage inventory, manage online spending with a marketplace to enable transactions happening at a more efficient way, matching better sellers and buyers. So there are a lot more product and technology-driven innovations than just purely operation-led for. And as a result of that, the growth of efficiency online spending increased dramatically. LTV versus CAC ratio looks much better as a result.
Yeah.
And so it is a mindset shift and an operational shift, different work processes, and a lot more robots being used because, during the pandemic, robots couldn't sleep, they can continue to work. And all that things seemed a little bit far-fetched from us before, now is much closer to us. And lastly, we launched our digital economy index over the summer, and we just saw a lot of interest around that because even in the US, a developed market, you see that the acceleration of digital technologies in ways unprecedented before. E-commerce alone grew from 14% penetration in the US in Q2 last year to now 20%. And that kind of pickup has just never been seen before, even in a developed market. And in Europe, we're seeing the same things as well. So it's just unprecedented. And like you said, tech is impacting things, but fundamentally it's about people. And see how the founders and teams respond. It's extremely heartwarming, and we'd love to see more of that.
Yeah. And now to both of you, I'm going to ask this question. This is TechSparks, and one of the conversations, the most important conversation that we are having here is that we have the best engineers, we have the best, some of the best products getting built, we have the market. How are we going to build from India for the world?
I understand the questions. I think it's not about people don't want to build them, right? If you'll see the journey of startup, and that was last 12, 13 years in India, right? And it started with the commerce, and then if you'll see all the sector, almost we came into all the sectors, right? Some of the products, if you'll see, it has become global, right? You cannot say like that SaaS, lots of SaaS products has been global,
Postman.
right? So, Postman. And so lots of SaaS products have become, but I must say that, let's say on Udan and on the like joke side, if that model after us, if you'll see in a developing country, it is has been adopted exactly. If you'll see like Sop Up, I mean, Bangladesh has just got one of the most like iconic investment series A, more than 22 million. Exactly like it's like Quran, am I right? If there is a in Indonesia, there is in Vietnam, in South America, and exactly they are like you are saying that MSME is the theme, and they are building similar model. Like when we have started Flipkart, people say that we have started Amazon of India, am I right? It was a similar model, right? And then so now I see the lots of model which has been which we are in the middle of the testing or making it successful. Already people are adopting all across India, like in Pakistan, Bangladesh, in Indonesia. Iran is not expanding because I think it's just a 4.5, like less than 4.5 years. We have just completed 4 years. It's a like we haven't like there's lots of things has to be done in our country, right? What we are doing, because it's not even
Yeah.
we have scratched the surface. So what I'm saying that it's also need a resource focused team, a maturity of product, and all those things has to come together. Then it has its own time, and I'm very sure like kind like models people are adopting, and some of the SaaS model which are global as a product. But I think other model will also go in all across the globe, and people will going to say that that has been perfected in our country and it has been adopted, and our Indian company will going to expand. So like you say that there was Airbnb here also. If you'll see uh, uh, our own like Ritesh startup. What is the name?
Oyo.
Oyo has also expanded in various geography, right? In
Yes.
Japan, in China,
Yes. Yes.
but now the in pandemic time, because the hospitality as a sector has been affected the most, one of the most. So might be, but they have already expanded globally. So it's happening. What I'm saying.
We have been fortunate to be able to invest in companies from the US that expand globally. And we also predicted that some of the companies from China can expand globally. And then when it came to India, my first personal investment that was done back in 2012. I wish I also met Suji then, but he was already quite successful. I wasn't able to have a meeting. But the founders of Snapdeal came to China to learn about JD um, Alibaba, including Taobao and Tmall, and to have a conversation and about investing personal money in Snapdeal. And it just and you see that's from 2012 to 2019 when we met. Sujeet, it's just and other Indian founders, just the sort of the growth of Indian tech sector over the last that period, just amazing with Geo and GST and UPI, just the accelerate and create a digital online consuming class that you don't see before. And you see that more SMEs, thanks to Udan, are now getting online. And that kind of base is important because we saw how Alibaba grew from 2003 when GTV invested to what is it now. And you need several iconic companies to make impact, build things that's good
Yes.
for national economy to grow. You need a
Yes.
whole generation of founders being inspired by some of the few successes, like Flipkart sale to Walmart, to be able to say, you know what, they can do it, we can do it too. And you need
Yes.
massive user, not just a user base, but engineers to build things. You can't just consume, you have to build things. India has 2.6 million STEM graduates every year, and more of them are being trained to be able to write build great products. So, like you said, that is what attracted us to invest in India as a fund in 2019. And as you mentioned, some of the companies have already gone abroad, but we think that the massive outcome that could potentially come is happening, and this is why we want to invest in companies from India that we can help them to go global. And we have set up our firm that way. We have a founders leadership program pioneered by our colleagues in Silicon Valley, Jan Holmstrom, and then also some of the programs happening in China and Southeast Asia. And we were showcasing that to founders in India. And every time we have a founders leaders session, being managed by and run by and spoken to from the likes of the former CEOs of Alibaba and former chief people officer of Airbnb. India usually have the biggest representation. It's just amazing to see Indian founders always willing to learn, always thinking about how to innovate. And when it comes to the sort of the grit and intelligence, it's just extremely impressive. And so we will see, and we look at the number of unicorns from each country, there's no question that we think that the biggest jump is likely to come from India on a global basis. And I still remember when I first come to look at India with my ex-colleagues from Bessemer, India would just, do we invest should we invest in tech or invest in traditional economy? Back in 2005, 2006, everybody invests in traditional economy company because there was no internet to speak of. But then you see Safe and Excel and Lightspeed continue to try to invest in small startups like Flipkart, and ends up now, 10 years, 12 years later, become this massive outcome. That's exactly what we wanted to see. And we saw that with China, we're seeing that with India, we're seeing that with Latin America and Southeast Asia. And that is why tech gets me excited still every day, wake up in the morning to want to talk to the next Sujeet and help them to succeed, because it's just great for society when that happens.
Like if you see in last 5-6 years, the whole infrastructure and policy piece has been fixed, which itself has accelerated or given the fuel for all those ideas to become real. Like he said that GST, Geo, and like internet penetrations, UPI, all those things on those platforms. If you'll see, they're one of the largest businesses are bound to build, and might be more reforms will come. But I'm saying that these are the ingredients of building the great products.
What has this pandemic meant, and what has been some of the learnings that
I think when you first interviewed me, you pointed out that I remind you more of an entrepreneur rather than an investor. And you're the first in India who shares that with me. And I think what I learned through this is that you always have to put yourself in the other person's shoes. So if we what we do is only trying to make money for ourselves, always try to buy cheap and sell high, you're not going to last very long in this business, because everybody's smart. Maybe you invest in Flipkart or Udon when time is tough, and you try to make every single cent out of Sujeet. Sujeet is so smart; he's not going to let you do that. He will tell everyone he works with, don't work with this guy. This guy is not good. So if you're not short-term greedy, but we still care about returns, obviously, and care about outcomes, but you're long-term greedy, and you figure out how to work with the person to enable the person you're working with to be successful. If Sujeet is extremely successful, we'll get some of it, and we're totally okay that he gets more, his team gets more, because they have earned it. So if you have that mentality that you're here to enable others to succeed, and you wouldn't do that consistently, over time, you get more out of it. So no matter how much praise you gave me, I always appreciate the founders that we work with, and they're the ones who make it happen. And we do what we can to try to help them to succeed. And if we can be beneficial because we can share global insights, if we can be helpful because of Founder Leaders Program to help them to recruit talent and share best practices, we can become a community to allow our founders to talk to each other and learn from each other, not just from what we see. Then the multiplier effect will increase their chance of succeeding, and in the long run, we benefit from that. So the one thing I learned from during the pandemic is that if we keep on thinking for our funders and put ourselves in their shoes and help them, hopefully everybody benefits.
This has been one of the most insightful, honest, authentic, and very, very real conversation, which I think everyone who's going to be watching this, is going to, there's so much to reflect and learn and take away from this. So thank you for generously sharing and coming and talking. This means a lot. Thank you.